champagne for two. We'll get in the mood for romance, 'cause I'm your girl. On you I'm taking a chance.
Beautiful. You know how many people are on the payroll of this project up to now? About 70. Can you believe that? About 70 people. My name is Ariel Blumenthal. I'm a composer, and in many cases producer as well. The Plaza Hotel is a perfect place for a job like this that is so innovative because they wanted to redefine what boutique hotel means. And music is one of the way of doing it.
I would like to propose a toast for the 100th anniversary Chaim.
I remember meeting my grandfather here when I was a boy. You know, it's one of the main things that represents New York. The Empire State Building, the Plaza, Natural History, or the Met. It's just very much part of the city. I'm very glad it's being beautifully restored.
When I first presented to the Plaza, it was very clear to me from the end of this meeting that we're talking about a big volume of music. And if they're gonna get a quote of the real amount it takes to produce this, they're not gonna do it. So I had to figure out a way of producing this big volume of music and still having top quality, because otherwise there is no justification to do this gig. And basically the system that I developed, that I call layers and loops, is a compositional technique. It zooms into the music and the different layers and creates a list of combinations between those layers to be able to expand the music to longer proportions. All these pages are about 4 minutes of music, just like an arrangement from A to the end. Out of this, we're taking all of these elements and spreading them around and cutting them and playing with them and transposing them and doing all kinds of tricks so we can get 19 minutes of music out of that. Like a more exciting moment like this, and the whole band is playing, and then all of a sudden it falls into like a minimum section, and then when there is silence, there are going to be strings. This job entailed a lot of music, basically 2 different portions in this job. One of them is a set of 1.5 hours of original big band music, and the other side was 1 hour of electronic music. But there's also the production side of it, because we're talking about 7 months writing and producing. We're talking about roughly 70 musicians, recorded in LA, New York, Vegas, Tel Aviv, Prague. We're talking about, you know, all of these different recording studios with all of the file formats and making sure that everything works with everything. For you, it's an B25. We're talking about coordinating all the sessions and all the budgets and all the traveling and all the accommodations and all the schedules. Misha! Finding the right lyricist to write this old-fashioned but very New Yorky, very Plaza kind of lyrics, and then finding the right vocalist.
You and me, there was never any question.
The one thing I learned that next time I'm doing it, I'm getting an assistant. He's going to take care of talking to everybody, all the contractors, all the artists, everything.
Frank's in the house.
I'm on my way to Prague. I'm taking the red eye to New York and then another red eye to Prague. Recording orchestras in Prague for the last, I want to say, decade is the thing that everybody is doing, because you get very rich tradition, you know, Central European, this is the real thing. For brass instruments, for instance, I would never go to Prague. On the other hand, it's still pretty cheap. We're going to record in a studio called Shmeki? Shmeki, I say. We're here. Parts. Look at this. All these papers. Can you believe it? Conducting an orchestra is tremendous fun. You don't really notice the time flies, and then 5 minutes later, it's like been 4 hours, you know. There's so many things you have to focus on the musicians, on the music. You know, the score reader from the studio is telling you something in your ear, and then the clock. The clock is very important. And they played swing like they go to Capitol Records every day to record with Sinatra. It's unbelievable. It was all in theory before we really got to mix this. But it was Peter and me in the middle of the night. He's assigning each element that I brought from my studio to whatever speakers we find it, you know, creative and nice. first night I brought nice shoes, and then the second night I said, no, I'm getting my sneakers because it's walking back and forth all night. We're going now to listen to the big band set that is distributed in this lobby, exactly the way the guests experience it when they come in through this main entrance. As you walk into the lobby, intimate settings, intimate music, and then it opens right up. Just a few steps and you're in the lobby with the full music and the full design. The cool thing about it is that the music is embedded in the architecture of the building. You can't hear this mix anywhere else except in that room. You have different instruments coming from each speaker. So you may have one trumpet coming from here, the other one from here, the other one from here, the saxophones on the front, the trombones on the left side. So everywhere we're walking in the middle, we're actually in the middle of all these instruments. These are the subwoofers down here. So these were the basses coming out. Okay, right now, the soloist is walking on the ceiling above us. And she's walking all the way to the side as she's playing the solo. When you're in the lobby, you're getting all these phenomenal spatial images and all these cool things, but in addition to that, when you go to adjacent areas, you get a different manifestation of the music. So as we walk, we get a different arrangement of the music, this time with more strings, very lush, kind of a Sinatra ballad style. Right now, we're crossing the border between two rooms and we're hearing the other. It's a different music, but it's the same tune. All of a sudden it's more relaxed, more intimate, more pleasant, more, you know, you name it. But since it's the same tune, you don't feel like you went into a different room. And as we continue walking, we're going to a third arrangement of the music. This is the most intimate manifestation of the music. Right here, it's kind of a chamber jazz ensemble. It's like a trio. And that's the experience of walking through the spaces. The big band portion of the job is played at the lobby. That's number one. Number two, the electronica is at the bar. The bar is on the second floor. There is a lower level where we are now, and then when you go upstairs, there is a higher level. Basically what's happening with electronic music, if you're sitting at the bar, or if you're sitting in this little, you know, seat by the railing, or if you're sitting in any other space, you hear the music a bit different.
Walking from the restroom, and as you head in, the music gets more intense and more elements kind of flood in, and the lights are low and it's interestingly lit, so it kind of just makes this kind of surreal kind of experience to grab a drink, not like your conventional bar.
We're hearing a lot of the percussion elements from here. Guitar is coming from there. The furthest we go in this space.
It's subtle and you don't necessarily know without traveling around the room, but once you do travel around the room, you can experience the setting in a richer way.
It was very important for us to make sure that we're not overwhelming the crowd, because, you know, when you're sitting in a bar, just like when you're sitting in a theater, you want to hear the dialogue, you want to understand what's going on. When you're sitting in the bar, you want to hear the person that is right next to you. And one way of doing it is not straining a certain portion of the spectrum for too long. And of course, it really helps that the speakers, the Meyer sound system, is very accurate on the frequency response. You just get very sharp accuracy.
We create the technology and then we show it to sound designers, and then the challenge is how to put in, you know, small speakers in such a way you get the fidelity and quality we're after, but be able to hide them into the structure. That's always a hard part of a project like this.
We're trying to create sound that's almost unconscious, especially in a public space like that, but hopefully it'll make people feel better than they should feel.
This niche of experience, design and music together can go so many places, and I'm planning on continuing doing that. I love that. What I'm learning more and more is that there is no replacement to being genuine and just doing your thing. It's pretty cool, and it may sound a little tacky, but if you feel that you're doing it for real, it comes out in the music and people are going to really appreciate the thing that you do.